Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Friday, September 15th, 2017.
Commissioner Rivas, Repenning, James, and Jacinto are present. President James, we have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Tim Tyson, Bureau of Street Services.
Hee-Sung Kim, Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Matty Lawn, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Sefi Wiles, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we did receive a speaker card under General Public Comment. We have no commentary under the Neighborhood Council Comment section, and we also received speaker cards on all the items for today's agenda.
We approve the meeting minutes from the meeting of Friday, August 25th, 2017 by Commissioner Repenning. Any objection? Without objection, we will approve those meeting minutes. Let's see, we have some housekeeping / procedural items to go through first regarding many above ground facility requests. Mr. LeDuc, on agenda items, and Mr. Palace will want your confirmation on a couple of things here. On agenda items 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, 11, 13, 14, 15, and 21 and 22. These are all AT&T above ground facility variance requests. My understanding from the written communication from AT&T is that all of these items are being withdrawn today?
They are, because they're I've got permission to co-locate them on streetlights.
Okay.
Poles.
So let me just say the request to withdraw those items will be granted, so those items are not before the board. At this time, I want to say to the people from AT&T, to the council office, to the Bureau of Engineering. There were several weeks involved in the meetings that took place to satisfy the community, the applicant, the Bureau, the council office, the entertainment industry, all kinds of considerations that went into what are now co-location agreements that will improve the streetscape and just satisfy a lot of entities and stakeholders. There was a lot of hard work, some frustration along the way, but that's what it takes sometimes to get a result that everyone can agree to. So I just want to say that we really appreciate your work on that. As well, Noel, please pass that on to the folks that you work with as well. That's for agenda items. So those items are withdrawn. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, 11, 13, 14, 15, 21, and 22. Regarding items 4, 7, 10, 12, and 16, we understand that the parties are requesting a 2-week continuance from today to Friday, September 29th for agenda items 4, 7, 10, 12, and 16. That also, the requested continuance, which given the success that you've had on the others, I'm certainly inclined to grant this morning. I just want to confirm with you on the record, Mr. Ledoux. Is that those items still need an additional 2 weeks to try and reach a co-location agreement?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Is there a shot clock issue that we would need a tolling of a shot clock agreement from AT&T?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Palace, is that something that AT&T will agree to? Come on up.
And Mr. President, just to remind you, on Friday, September 29th, we will be in recess in observance of Yom Kippur. So recommendation would be to move it to Monday, October 2nd, or if you'd like to set it on a Friday, it would be Friday, October 6th.
Well, let's see what the parties say. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning, Mr. President, Commission, staff members. We would be amenable to tolling the shot clock, and because that date is a holiday, if we could go ahead and continue it then to that following Friday, which I believe is, Dr. Campos mentioned, it's the 6th?
October 6th.
October 6th.
Okay. Great. Then, so with the shot clock tolling, then we will agree to continue those items to Friday, October 6th. That's agenda items 4, 7, 10, 12, and 16. problem there?
October 6th, I may not be here. It would be better if it was moved to Wednesday.
Okay, how about Wednesday, October 4th? Okay, so Mr. Campos, is that okay?
That's perfect.
Okay,
Thanks.
great. So we have agreement for moving items 4, 7, 10, 12, and 16 to October 4th.
Thank you.
All right, thank you both. Thank you, everyone. Okay, now let me go through and figure out what that leaves us for the agenda today. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17. Before we get to item 17, let's get to item number 19. Solid waste hauling permit revocation, United Pacific Waste Incorporated. There's been a request by the Bureau of Sanitation to continue agenda item number 19 to Monday, October 16th, 2017. So without objection, we'll continue agenda item 19 to Monday, October 16th, 2017. Agenda item 17, Council District 11, Construction Services Contract, Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant Parking Structure Crack Repair and Sprinkler Repair Project, recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to use the construction services contract and to issue task work orders to the contractor for an amount not to exceed $400,000 for the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant Parking Structure Crack Repair and Sprinkler Repair Project. Mr. Spindler has a card in on number 17. Let me look and see in what capacity. The card reads, the puppet.
Go ahead.
Yes, I'm looking at this item on 17. All of your parking structures are repairable, but they're really shit, yes. You should tear down the parking structure, get rid of all the parking, and only allow the workers to go by bicycle. And I think Mr. Bonin, who is a drug addict, has stated repeatedly he wants people out of their cars and on bicycles, foot, or public transportation, right? So why are you repairing a cracked fucking parking structure for cars when you want no more cars? No more cars! Get rid of all automobiles and you start with your city employees. But the truth of the matter, sadly, for all of you in the public, is Mr. Bonin doesn't give a shit about all of us. His employees and all of you scumbags get to use your SUVs that you drive to work, but you want us to give up our freedom of driving and the road diets and CD11 caused by the drug addict pimp Bonin. So do not use the $400,000 to repair it. Tear down that fucking structure and make it bicycle parking only. Because there's a lot of people that are very overweight that work over there at that parking structure, and they need to get off their fat asses and start exercising so that our pension costs go down. And I believe the city attorney can confirm that healthier employees mean less pension liability. Yes, thank you.
2 minutes.
Mr. Zahedi on agenda item number 17.
Good morning, Sean Zahedi, Bureau of Engineering. We're recommending the board authorize the city engineer to use the Cisco contract, issue task orders to the contractor for an amount not to exceed $400,000 for the Hyperion parking structure crack repair and sprinkler repair project. The parking structure was at the Hyperion plant was built in 1991, and it's been subject to a number of seismic events, and also is subject to the corrosive marine environment and the wastewater environment. So there are cracks have developed in the concrete that allow water, rainwater to seep in, and ultimately the reinforcement in the concrete will be damaged and the structural integrity of the structure will be also damaged. There are also signs of corrosion on the water, the fire sprinkler system piping that need to be addressed. And so this project goes in and repairs the cracks in the concrete, recoats and replaces portions of the fire sprinkler system piping and valves. There are some signs that have been corroded, so those signs will be also replaced. The reason to use the Cisco contract, the Cisco vehicle for this contract is that this BOE needs to issue negotiated task orders to the Cisco contractor, and carrying out this type of project under a conventional bid and award scenario would be time-consuming. So in order to minimize further damage to the building and get the work underway in a timely manner, Cisco would be the optimum vehicle to use. The city engineer, for the same reasons that I cited, recommends using the Cisco contract and issue task orders for an amount not to exceed $400,000 to perform this work.
Thank you, Mr. Zahedi. And just so the record is clear, Cisco is not a company. It is an acronym that we use for construction services contract. Any questions regarding agenda item number 17 on this item? I don't have any questions either. Commissioner Santos made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 17. I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 17. Any issue sending 17 forthwith? We'll send number 17 forthwith. Agenda item number 18. Council District 6 Construction Services Contract for the Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant Lab Building Fall Protection Capital Improvement Project. This is a request that the board authorize the city engineer to use the construction services contract and to issue task work orders to the contractor for an amount not to exceed $251,000 for the Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant Lab Building Fall Protection Project. Mr. Spindler, you have a card in for the puppet?
See, this just goes to show you that this board, being a full-time paid board, is a complete waste of money and time. You don't read this. You don't know what they're going to do. You don't know how they're going to do it. And you don't give a shit. See, so we don't need a full-time paid 5-member board of commissioners for this. We really don't. You should take this whole operation and put it under the council's committee on public works and gang reduction, saving a lot of money, get rid of all of this staff, get rid of the whole fucking department and just put it under general services, because that's essentially what you're doing. You're giving a blank check for $251,000. Blank check for corruption. Every time you guys do this, you never know what's going to happen, and they're going to come back for change orders later to increase the amount of the costs. See, you guys are crooks, and you're just mailing this shit in, and you have no idea. Every time, 100 times I've been in this building, in this room, 100 times, and I've seen the Tillman Water Reclamation Plant and Hyperion requesting change orders. This is the 100th time that I have been here and signed up on an item for these fuckers. How much has that been in the last 4 years? How much? It's got to be close to $1 billion. $1 billion fucking dollars to fill in cracks and to repave roofs? Are you kidding me? You people are nothing but a money laundering scheme. And you have the nerve to go to the district attorney and indict the president of the LAUSD Ref Rodriguez couldn't steal 1/100th of the money you steal in a day in 50 fucking years. All right? That's the disgusting part about this. And the LA Times is never going to write a thing about this. Not a thing about this. That this is the most corrupt, thieving department
2
in
minutes.
LA City municipal history.
Agenda item number 18, Mr. Zahedi.
Sean Zahedi again, Bureau of Engineering. We're recommending the board authorize city engineer to use Cisco and issue task orders to the contractor for an amount not to exceed $251,000 for the Tillman Lab Building Fall Protection Project. This particular building, the lab building, is a single-story building with aluminum roofing that's located in the northeast section of the Tillman plant. There is existing HVAC equipment on the roof that needs to be accessed and occasionally repaired or maintained. The roof itself is covered with aluminum, weatherproof aluminum paneling that gets slippery when wet. So that poses a problem for personnel that need to go up on top and do repairs on the equipment. In addition, there's a ladder on the north side of the roof that allows access to the roof. This ladder is also not up to code as far as OSHA is concerned because it puts the employees in jeopardy when they try to access the roof and step onto the roof. So that ladder has been sealed off and is not being used. And lastly, the roof doesn't have any guardrails around it. So for these reasons, this project was initiated to go in and first apply non-slip coating to the aluminum roof, install guardrails around the roof, and also replace the ladder system with a stair system with landings so that the employees could use it and access the roof safely. So that pretty much sums up the scope of the project. And again, due to the urgency of the work and the unsafe conditions and the fact that going through the bid and award process is going to be time-consuming, and also due to the cost of the project, which is $250,000, BOE believes that the Cisco vehicle would be the optimum way to go, and the city engineer recommends use of the Cisco contract for this project for an amount not to exceed $251,000.
Great, thank you, Mr. Zahedi. Commissioner Davis?
Just for a matter of information, in terms of the option to use Cisco versus having to develop the job and the project and go through the bidding process, what's the shortfall of difference of time if we were to traditionally go through the process for contracting to get these immediate things done?
The typical bid and award process is about 6 months, at least 6 months, whereas the Cisco process is about 2 months. So there's a 4 months differential in terms of actual award of the contract and start of work.
And you did say that these specific tasks that need to be completed are emergent in terms of an emergency nature,
right?
For workers that are at the facility.
We've also got Cal OSHA requirements to meet.
Right.
Yes.
There's also the Cal OSHA issue, and the fact that the ladder is not in use anymore, so it's access to the roof is impeded as we speak. So we need to provide access as soon as we can.
If an issue is not emergent, then we would then use the opportunity, or at least consider the opportunity to contract out, correct?
Yes, Commissioner Davis. Although for projects that are below $500,000 or below $300,000, the cost of the soft costs, the labor costs, to send the project through the bid and award process sometimes are not justified, given the value of the contract.
So in fact, that the process and the cost, the administrative costs to execute the project through the process is costly, oftentimes not even matching, but somewhere near the cost of the contract in and of
Value
itself.
of the contract, yes. That's why we sometimes combine smaller value projects into like two or three projects into a single contract, just to bring the value of the contract up and get a better deal in terms of bids and get more reputable outfits as opposed to any mom and pop operation.
Well, I think that Cisco is a great tool for us when we have to move expeditiously to get things done for public safety and for the safety of our employees. Additionally, though, in terms of if we could create some opportunity for these smaller projects, because we do have a large, small, and emerging business community as well, if in fact there is some opportunity when an issue is not an emergency for us to create some of these small projects for that small business community in the city, that certainly would be great as well. Even though I do understand when we have an emergency and when we have public safety, that is always our top priority. But again, if we could capture some of these smaller projects for our small business community, that would be great for our city as well.
Absolutely, and let me just say that the Cisco contracting process has a rigorous outreach element that even for smaller task orders requires the Cisco contractor to reach out to the extent,
in terms of subcontracting.
In terms of reaching out to the underrepresented.
And when they do so, you have an assessment of who those individuals are that they select. Is that shared with the board in
Yes,
those cases?
the Cisco contract manager provides a quarterly report to the board, which goes over all the good faith effort information.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. Sean, it's good to see you again on this. In the briefing, we had talked about the fact of compliance with Cal OSHA, and that's important for the safety of our workers and employees. Can you, for the public record, because I asked this again, I want to ask this in public as well, the rationale for doing this after the fact that we had Cal standards, OSHA standards for slippage and safety around the roof. Can you talk a little bit about the sequence of how we're doing it now versus doing it before?
Before, you mean when the building was constructed? As far as access is concerned, there have been revisions to the OSHA requirements regarding access, which involves a ladder that goes up to the roof. As far as slip resistant coating on the aluminum, it's not a common practice to do that unless a situation comes up like this, where it is noticed that this thing gets wet and presents a tripping fall hazard to the workers. Lastly is the guardrails that should have been installed as part of the original construction, but they weren't. Maybe the rationale was that nobody's going to have to access the roof, especially the roof is a slope, there is aluminum. It's not your typical flat construction, which either has parapets or guardrails. So
All right.
that's
Sean, thank you for that. Based on, your justification of that and the changes, the revisions, and the fact that staff is accessing, I think that that's an appropriate use of our Cisco contract to bring ourselves into compliance, as President James said. So, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. Anything further on agenda item number 18? Commissioner Jacinto has made a motion on agenda item number 18, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 18. Thank you, Mr. Zahedi. Any issues sending number 18 forthwith? We will send number 18 forthwith. Agenda item number 20, Council District number 5, requested tree removal, 10131 West Constellation Boulevard on Avenue of the Stars. Recommending that the board certify that the board has reviewed and considered the information in the final environmental impact report for the project at 10131 West Constellation Boulevard and find the information contained therein appropriately addresses the requested tree removals. Secondly, find that the project will not have a significant environmental effect under the above described environmental impact report, as the imposition of the mitigation measures described in the environmental impact report and incorporated herein as project conditions, such that there is no substantial evidence the proposed project will have a significant effect on the environment pursuant to the city's environmental guidelines and is in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA. Third, find that the project's conflict with any local policies or ordinances protecting biological resources, such as tree preservation policies, is less than significant with the incorporation of mitigation measures described in the final environmental impact report and page C3 as contained in the EIR. Number 4, adopt the final EIR. Number 5, specify that the Bureau of Street Services Urban Forestry Division, located at 1149 South Broadway, is the custodian of the documents and other material that constitute the record of proceedings upon which the board's decision is based. And finally, approve the request for a fee tree removal permit for 9 rusty leaf fig trees. Tree replacements are required. Mr. Spindler has a card in for the puppet on number 20.
This actually was done, it's a 550-page environmental impact report from 2006. Back in 2006, they were going to build these condominiums. Hundreds and hundreds of condominiums. So, yeah, there was a condition C3 that required a canopy cover, and it has to be a canopy cover in the environmental measures C3. But that was from 2006, 11 years ago. Lots changed in 11 years. Traffic has changed in 11 years. They never planted these trees in 11 years. The canopy has significantly increased since 2006. This is an out-of-date EIR. C3 is an outdated condition. So if this city was not ran by criminals, you would go back and have them redo a supplemental EIR on condition C3 before you remove these trees and make sure the canopy is equivalent to 2017 and not outdated by 11 years. But you don't give a shit. The only thing you're interested in is getting on with your Friday, so you can take your next vacation for another one of these Mickey Mouse Jewish holidays that are not paid holidays that you give yourself. So you don't give a fuck about anybody. You'll just approve it so these scumbags can sell these fucking condominiums, and then when the market crashes, the bank buys them back and then sells them back to investors. That's all you fuckers care about. Flip the dollars. But anyway, this is outdated. It's fucking outrageous. If anybody ever sues you on that, they're going to ream your ass in a writ of mandamus. So anyway, I just bring that up because nobody here gives a fucking shit. So that's how I bring it up.
Mr. Tyson on number 20.
Good morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, City Attorney, and Executive Officer. The Bureau of Street Services was approached by KPFF Consulting Engineers, who are currently constructing 2 47-story residential towers containing 483 residential condominium units and one 12-story residential building with a one-story recreational facility at 10131 South Constellation Boulevard. As part of the conditions to build, the developer is required to perform reconstruction of the defective sidewalks, curb, and gutters. Mr. Santanama, property owner's representative, contacted the Bureau of Street Services requesting the project site be inspected to determine the relationship between the proposed construction and the adjacent street trees. Bureau arborist inspected the location on April 18, 2017, and the inspection revealed 9 rusty leaf fig trees on Avenue of the Stars side of the address. The 9 rusty leaf fig trees measure on average approximately 26 inches in diameter by 30 feet in height, growing in raised circular concrete planters located adjacent to the private property line and sitting on top of the sidewalk and away from the curb abutting the roadway.
And Mr. Tyson, those are the only trees that we're talking about removal, right?
Yes.
Those that they've been sitting next to a vacant lot for a lot longer than 2006.
Yes.
Just right around that corner. They make it basically an L shape.
And planted just past that was a development where we had them plant London Plain sycamore trees, which are doing really fine.
All right, yeah, that intersection's still the same. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Due to the scope of the project, the required root pruning to allow the trees to remain would significantly and adversely affect the tree's health and root structure. So therefore, it is not recommended. Additionally, the tree's root crowns are above grade and would require construction of large raised planters, which is not feasible due to the anticipated pedestrian traffic along this corridor.
Now you got me to the next question, to interrupt you along the way. Some of these are, you can imagine what they would, they're mature, they're beautiful in many respects. Obviously, there are benefits to them. But when the project comes in, are they ADA compliant currently with the big concrete box planters?
Basically, this is not our standards today. We don't allow these type of plantings. This was done, I'm assuming, 50 years ago. These trees are probably 50 years old. They're nice trees. In the photos that were provided by UFD, you can't see exactly what I want to talk about, which I apologize for, but if you go to the tree report, you can see in the tree report where the tree's root system has girdled around and around and around in these planters and are pushing the planter walls out. So therefore, in order to, the trees are growing on top of the sidewalk, and that's not a thing that you can root prune them and do all this kind of work around them because they're already exposed above ground. So in order to go back to ADA compliancy, the planters would be removed. We'd have flat sidewalks. The sidewalks are cracked and damaged. You can barely see that in the photos. They are depressed as well from the trees pushing them down. So therefore, they're not at grade. And when you go in to fix something like this, per like the Willits case, you don't just fix little portions of it. You fix the entire stretch.
You also have significant pedestrian traffic there because it's in Century City. It's near all the offices there. Many people access and walk that way to get from their offices to the mall, which is across the street. So ADA compliance is going to be very important. Go ahead. It's
Yes,
always
sir.
important, but here you have a lot of pedestrian traffic.
Right, and for sustainability as well, to allow these trees to remain like they are, they're just at the point right now where they're just going to start damaging everything if they're allowed to further grow and grow and grow. So in order for sustainability, ADA compliancy, the mandate by city planning for the developer to construct and fix everything and bring it up to standards requires the trees removals. John Darnell, 5th Council District Office, was informed of the tree removal request on April 18th, 2017. Notice of the proposed tree removals were physically posted on the subject trees on April 19th, 2017. Proposed tree removals were included in the Bureau of Street Services tree removal notification system, and the Community Forest Advisory Committee was notified. Now, I have an amendment I want to change to this board report. And this is the change. The applicant shall plant 4 24-inch box size exclamation plane trees. I'm sorry, that's going to be 48-inch box size trees. And
What species?
they're going to be exclamation plane Platanus acerfolia, which is the Morton Circle London plane variety. That way the streetscape as you go down the street will match the trees that were also there. I don't know why this says 4, but they're going to be planting 18. So it needs to be changed to the shall plant 18 48-inch box size exclamation plane trees on south, I'm sorry, got ahead of myself. 4 on South Avenue of the Stars and plant 14 exclamation plane trees on West Constellation
So
Boulevard.
total of 18.
Correct.
But 4 on Avenue of the Stars, 14 on Constellation?
Correct.
Okay.
Which will complete the 2-to-1. And rather than have them plant 24-inch box size trees, this is a huge development. And as it was suggested in the EIR, it talks about replacing canopy cover. And so the 48-inch box size trees are the largest size trees we can get them to get into 4x6 tree wells, which is our standard size, therefore meaning we're having them plant the largest trees that we can at this time.
Okay. Commissioner, thank you, Tim. Commissioner Repenning.
I just wanted to clarify, because I don't remember seeing a situation like this. If they're in, the trees are in the planters, they still have to come to us for removal, or how does that work?
Well, they're damaging the sidewalk, and in order to reconstruct the sidewalk, they have to take those great big concrete things away from the sides of the tree, which is where the whole root ball is sitting, which is on top of the sidewalk. That root ball should be underneath the sidewalk.
I see.
So if we have them replace all the sidewalk and try to enhance these planters to make them larger, then it's going to take away the ADA compliancy that we need to have, making those things much larger, which in turn wouldn't satisfy the need to get them underground. They would still be on top of the sidewalk, which can cause, as I stated, the trees are at a point now where no matter what happens, they're going to continue to grow, and whatever's around them, they're going to move it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you. Tim, you know, the 24-inch box size replacements, those are standard for this type of removal and replacement?
Yes.
Okay, and it'll take a while for them to replace a canopy loss?
Right, and that's why I have been doing this recently, trying to get in the largest trees that we can on especially these large developments where it's a city planning case, and we can have that happen.
So that's positive, and the tree wells will allow for that growth maximally?
Correct, and the trees will be placed in the proper locations next to the curb rather than at the back of the sidewalk, which the trees are straddling the property line. So this isn't something that back when it was done was probably done in the right manner.
Okay. Tim, what size are the tree wells, sir?
4x6.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 20, seconded by Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 20. Any issues sitting as amended? Yes, thank you. So my motion is as amended. Commissioner Jacinto's second is as amended. Any objection to the motion? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 20 as amended. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send it forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Agenda item, let's see where we go from number 20. Number 23, specifications have been submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids. This is in Council District 14. It's for the secondary sewer renewal program, Daly Street and North Main Street. The estimate for the project is $9,262,112, and the bid receipt date is Wednesday, October 25th, 2017. Mr. Spindler, you have a card in on number 23 for the public.
Go ahead.
What's the fucking item?
23.
Oh yes. We're talking about taking a shit and flushing it, yes. Also known as sewer renewal. When you take your shit and flush the toilet that goes down the hole into the sewer renewal program, and it becomes biomatter. And then it mixes with the drug needles and all of the condoms from all of the illegal drug use and homosexual activity in CD1 and 14, making this gob of a mess. And it's a complete disaster. So the bid is too low. The estimate should be far higher to get rid of the dangers of AIDS, the dangers of all of the hepatitis, and the cockroaches and the bugs, and all of the danger to the workers who will come home and give their families diseases from touching all of the AIDS and drug-ridden needles and shit that goes down the drain with all the pharmaceuticals, because as you know, all of you hooked on pills on this panel, with the exception of Mr. Jacinto, of course. You know, when you're taking all of your Valium and your Schedule 4 narcotics that you buy illegally at the garage over at the Arco Center, used to be called the Arco Center, you shit that down. So all of the drug addicts, all of your drugs wind up reused in the water. So we drink your former pills. Ugh. So that's why increase this by 10 million. The minimum bid should be $19,262,112. Thank you.
We're going to move to agenda item number 24. There's Fernando needs to check on something regarding agenda item number 23. Agenda item number 24. So performance art might have been unnecessary. Agenda item number 24, the mayor has approved and authorized the Board of Public Works on behalf of the Bureau of Sanitation to execute the proposed 10-year lease agreement with 2 5-year renewal options and a cost of $1 per year for a total cost of $10 for 10 years with the State Department of Transportation relative to the property at Harbor Freeway, Gaffey Street, and Summerland Avenue for the purpose of passive recreation and stormwater filtration facility. This is being sent back for execution. Mr. Spindler, you have a card in on number 24 for your puppet.
Yeah, so I fully support this payoff, because you know the Governor Brown needs to pay off the city of Los Angeles, and this is a wonderful multi-million-dollar giveaway for 10 lousy fucking dollars. But my friend Mr. Spindler is willing to give you $100 cash right now if you'd be willing to give it to him. He'll take the property for $100 cash. That's $90 fucking more than your bid. So we should be declared the winners of the property, and if you do not do so, the puppet will sue you in the federal court of kangaroo courts. That's where puppets sue. Yes, we have our own court system. Yes. And finally, fuck Jerry Brown and fuck everybody that lives in Sacramento County and San Francisco County because they're pieces of shit. Thank you.
On agenda item number 24, this is being sent back for signature. Is there a second to my motion that we receive agenda item, or that we approve agenda item number 24 forthwith? I'm sorry, Commissioner Repenning, go ahead.
Sure, I just wanted to say something about this item since I know we have Deb Dietz here, who is, I think, one of our very passionate advocates for bringing green infrastructure into our communities. I know this is something that she's been working on with CD15 to show how capturing water can help beautify communities. So thanks for your work on this.
Thank you. So again, this is being sent back for signature. So is that a motion, Commissioner Repenning? Seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 24. Any issue sending 24 forthwith? We will send number 24 forthwith. Agenda item number 25. Oral report regarding solvents, automotive, flammable, electronic waste, the Safe Collection Center's update. Mr. Spindler, you have a card in for number 25. Yes, Mr. Campos.
And Mr. President, under the 10-minute rule, Mr. Spindler has 1 minute and 25 seconds.
So there you go, Mr. Spindler.
All right, like this fast.
Yes, I'd like to say, I like this item, but let's advertise so everybody in Orange County, Riverside County, San Bernardino County, all of them will come here to LA and dump all of their automotive, flammable, and electronic waste here on the streets of the city, so you stupid scumbags will pay them to collect their waste. You will be helping the economies of Orange County and our fellow counties, and that will save them millions of dollars in business costs. After all, you owe it to them because you've been stealing their fucking water through the MTA and the MBE for the last 20 years. You water thieves, you cocksuckers. So give the businesses this benefit. Let them dump all of their waste into the city limits so all the other businesses can save money. A great program. The puppet supports it thoroughly.
Mr. Park on agenda item number 25.
Good morning. My name is John Park with the Bureau of Sanitation, Solid Resources Citywide Recycling Division. Today I'm reporting on the operation of our safe collection center and our residential special material program with universal waste. For the fiscal year 2016 and 17, the city collected nearly 11.3 million pounds of RSM waste, including used oil, household hazardous waste, and electronic waste. Among the 11.3 million pounds of waste, we believe that 60% of collected waste were recycled, and 19% were reused under a steward reuse program, and only the remaining 21% were incinerated or landfilled. The following are some of our highlights programs. First, Safe Center operations. We have 7 safe centers throughout the city and operated fully. And it opens at Saturday and Sunday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., except UCLA facility. It operates just 3 days a week. And we shipped out and manifest and consolidate all this waste collected previous weeks from Monday through Wednesday. Last year, all safe centers handled about 1,900 manifests, and we served over 113,000 household customers. Second, used oil programs. We're operating 14 sites in Marina, and a city partnership with 246 certified collection centers. So from all this facility, we collected 2.4 million gallons of used oil, and we exchanged 965 oil filters through used oil and mobile events. And third is our Sharps program. We have collected sharps from 25 rec and parks, senior citizen centers, and 5 city facilities. Collected about 8,000 pounds of excuse me, I'm kind of dry on my throat. About 7,700 pounds of sharps, and in our safe centers and mobile event, we collected about 50,000 pounds of sharps. And battery collection, we have all the collection centers in the public library and 16 GP Loop locations, and most of cities' facilities, including fire departments and police department. We had about 20 mobile used oil and e-waste collection events during the last fiscal year. And this year, we are expanding our program by adding paint collection event. And also, we are considering adding used tire collection in our mobile events. In conclusion, the total collection was up by 4.1%, about 220 tons of more waste than last year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Park. Commissioner Penny?
I just want to thank you and your team at Sanitation for providing this program. It's really important that we keep these hazardous materials, out of our landfill and out of anywhere else that they might end up being disposed of. So thank you for this important public safety program.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Park, I would be curious in the next report, next time around, seeing a summary of, excuse me, seeing a summary of the data that you provided in comparison to prior biannual periods so that we can tell if we're seeing any trends. Trends are in areas like this are always interesting to me, and that kind of information can help us assess whether the funds are being prioritized in the proper way, and also it'll tell us information about our outreach efforts and things like that. Okay? Great, thank you. Commissioner Davis?
In terms of the cost of this project, how much is it,
$53 million.
Oh, it's $53 million. And in terms of the work, is there some degree of subcontracting? I know it's a highly specialty area.
Yes.
But in terms of the work getting done, is there going to be some subcontracting of some nature on it from the prime contractor on this project?
Yes.
And is that documented somewhere in terms of who they're going to select in that regard?
We are end of a 5-year contract, which is expiring next month, and we are exercising first 3-year extension, which is we submitted the board report, and probably is still in the Bureau of Contract Administration.
So you will share that information with us. I am aware that when we get to subspecialties, often we don't have the kind of certification and qualification of various diverse groups that are part of the area providing the service, but nevertheless, will you share that information with us?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Anything further on the oral report? Thank you, sir. The oral report will be received, and we'll look forward to seeing that information on what kind of trends we have working there. Dr. Kappas, agenda item 23 has been withdrawn, correct?
Yes, we are requesting to withdraw item number 23.
Yeah, okay. Well, and then agenda item, is there anything left other than our special and general public comment?
That is the only thing left, yes.
Okay.
On the regular agenda, only public comment.
Right. All right. Staying on the regular agenda, general public comment. Mr. Spinner, you have a card in on general public comment for your puppet.
Yes, so again, it is good that we defeated your evil plan to go the Herb Wesson way. So as you may know, well, you don't know this yet, Herb Wesson's wife, Fabian, went to work for the AQMD as the vice chair of outreach. And what did she do since January? She gives public comment on reducing public comment at the AQMD board meetings. But you know what they did? You know what they did, the attorneys, those people with bar cards? They redacted her comments claiming attorney-client privilege. They will not let me, the puppet, see what that bitch said. They're not letting us see what Mrs. Wesson said. Did she support the 3-minute maximum limit when she's the outreach coordinating vice chair of the AQMD? They will not release the record. Mr. President, release citizens' public comment because we have a right to see what that bitch said to reduce my right to drive out to Diamond Bar and speak before them like here. And then you do the same thing, Kevin. You try to do the same thing here. Why? Because you're working for Herb Wesson. You don't work for the taxpayers, no. You work for Herb Wesson. And then Penny works for the mayor. She's always up there spying on everybody and reporting to him on the 3rd and 4th floor. Luce doesn't know what's going on. Davis, he works for the New Frontier Democrat Club as an operative. The only person here working for the people is Joel, but that's only 20% of your board. So I want to know, and now you want to know, Fabian Wesson must be fired from the AQMD, that bitch.
That's it for general public comment. On the special meeting, Dr. Campos?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just for roll call, we have Commissioner Rivas, Commissioner Repenning, Commissioner James, Commissioner Davis, and Commissioner Jacinto. We do have a quorum for the special agenda. We did also receive a speaker card on general public comment. We have no commentary on the neighborhood council comment section. And we also received a speaker card on the special agenda item.
All right, so agenda item number 1 on the special. Specifications submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids. Council District 14 for the active transportation cycle, safe routes to school, infrastructure improvements for Sheridan Street Elementary and Breed Street, and Little Tokyo pedestrian safety project. Estimate $9,262,112. Bid receipt date Wednesday, October 25th, 2017. On the special meeting, Mr. Spindler has put in a card for another offensive, abusive, outrageous performance by his puppet.
For the record, your comment violates the Brown Act and the city charter. You've been put on notice. Well, I caught you stealing again. Item 23, item special 1. Same project under a different subnumber, BPW 2017-0888, as opposed to 0885, for the same estimated bid of $9,262,112. You call what I do offensive? You call this special after you withdraw it? You didn't know about this more than 72 hours before this was posted. You have to know about this less than 72 hours after this agenda was posted, but you clearly know exactly what the bid amount was. So you illegally called a special meeting on an item in which you knew more than 72 hours. So what you did was you bait and switch. You withdrew item 23 from the regular meeting. Now you're renaming the project under another case number. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. No transparency, no credibility, no legality, no transparency, no accountability. Just another crook in a suit with a goddamn bar card, a fucking disc jockey from KRLA jocking this shit around. A U.S. attorney, a former U.S. attorney, pulling something like this. Before you adjourned a regular meeting, you forgot to say, well, we're withdrawing item 23 because on the special at item 1, we're switching it under 3 different case numbers. They're the same amount of money. The same amount of money. What a fucking crook. What fucking crooks you people are. You don't even have a goddamn nerve to even tell people about
2
it.
minutes.
Yeah, fucking crooks.
Is there a second to my motion that we adopt special 1 forthwith by Commissioner Rivas? Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item or special agenda item 1 forthwith. Mr. Spindler, you have a card in for your puppet for general special comment or for general comment on the special meeting.
Yeah, so what did we learn today, kids? Oh, yeah, all week long. Well, the first thing we learned was there's a simple way to do things, and then there's the hard way to do things. The simple way is to do what City Hall has always done over the decades going back to my father in the 1950s. Pay off your problems. That's the power you have. You're good at that. You pay off people. Me, you didn't do that. You decided to try to kill me, take away my bar card, destroy my business, try to get me killed with false narratives and false light in the public eye, destroy my life, bankrupt me, file false charges, have me arrested, when you could have just cut a check and said, we want you to go away. Here's a check. You want to go away? Go away. Now, if I came back after that, that's another story. I'd say you're right. If I promised not to come back, and I came back and I got paid, and then the shit happened to me that the shit happened to me too, I'd have nobody to blame but myself. You didn't do that. You keep escalating the retaliation. And you keep fucking and fucking and fucking and fucking around to the point now where you got the president of the LAUSD indicted based on a complaint filed by your ethics commission. But I have a surprise for you. I'm going to give his attorney something that's going to get the charges dropped against him on selective prosecution. Then it comes back to your ethics commission, and then it comes back to Mike Fuhr. Cut me the check. You know, I'm fed, and I'm fed up, and I'm full of your shit. I say, check, please. Give me my fucking money. Because you don't, you're going to drag this shit on. That's why I got to be down here working on a Friday, kids.
Have we cleared the desk, Mr. Campos?
Yes, you have.
Okay, then the special meeting is adjourned.